Her husband is dead. She's the prime suspect. Her company is being taken from her. Her daughter is being kept away. And the therapist she's been pouring her heart out to for months? He has no idea who she is. Every session, every breakthrough, every time she thought someone was finally in her corner, it was all happening inside her own head. She was so completely alone that her mind invented a doctor just to keep her alive. That's where J1 is at the start of these 2 episodes. And that's not even close to the lowest point. By the time episode 11 ends, she'll have lost her daughter, watched a man get run over, and walked back into her enemy's office carrying flowers with a smile that could stop traffic. Let's break it all down. We open on chaos. A body has been found outside an abandoned factory, and it's J1's husband. The forensics team confirms it immediately. Poison in his water bottle. Ligature marks on his wrists. This was a deliberate murder. And the police come straight for J1. The timeline is damning. Security footage shows the husband heading to the factory just after 9 p.m. His smartwatch recorded his heart stopping around 1 a.m. J1 didn't get home until 4 a.m. Worse, police pull up records showing she once purchased pesticide. What the police don't know is the context. J1 had bought it in a moment of rage after discovering the affair, then poured it all out when she came back to her senses. But she can't explain any of that right now. She's barely holding together. At the police station, J1 sits completely silent through every interrogation. She won't speak, won't explain. Her lawyer can't even get through to her. And without an alibi or any evidence pointing elsewhere, the case looks devastating. The moment J1's name hits the news cycle, the tabloid reporter Choi cranks up the heat. Every skeleton in J1's closet gets aired. Her mental health, the affair rumors, the custody battle. All of it. Back at the company, a board member uses the scandal as ammunition to push for J1's removal. Hidden chief, Eun Jang, tries to fight it, but he doesn't have enough power to stop the vote. All he can do now is focus on keeping J1 out of prison. He meets privately with the detective handling the case and gets a carefully rehearsed answer. J1 is the prime suspect. Everyone else, including Gimi and the insurance agent, has an alibi. Only J1 doesn't. What he doesn't know yet is that the detective is lying. That alibi for the insurance agent? Someone fed him that line. And that factory where the body was found. It's the same location as an old, unsolved case the insurance agent once handled. Released from custody due to insufficient evidence, J1 steps out of the police station and is immediately swarmed by reporters. Choi is right in front, firing the most vicious questions. Eun Jang breaks through the crowd and pulls her away. J1 asks to see her daughter. Eun Jang drives her to her father-in-law's house. But on the way, something in J1 cracks open. She asks him to stop the car. She stands on the side of the road and cries, really cries, because she's remembering what the husband used to be. Before the affair, before the lies, before everything shattered. He was supposed to be her partner. And now he's gone. She pulls herself together. They drive on. But that night, J1 disappears. Eun Jang wakes up to the father-in-law shouting, she's gone. They trace her credit card. She bought a bus ticket. Destination, the coast. She's standing at the edge of the water when Eun Jang finds her. This beach isn't random. It's where her mother brought her as a child. On the surface, it looked like a day trip. But J1 remembers now what really happened. Her mother put a white powder into her milk, made her drink it, and carried her, half unconscious, into the sea. We'll have a happy ending soon, her mother had told her. J1 had survived that day, but the wound never healed. And now, standing at the water's edge, grief pulling at her from every direction, her legs carry her forward without thinking. Eun Jang charges into the waves and drags her back. J1 insists she wasn't trying to end her life. She just couldn't stop herself. Eun Jang holds his breath. He's not sure he believes her. But he stays. He always stays. Before they part, J1 quietly asks him one thing. If something happens to me, please look after my daughter. A close friend of the husband reaches out and asks to meet. She hands J1 a USB drive. The husband had given it to her for safekeeping before he died. He'd been quietly investigating the identity of their daughter's biological father. J1 plugs it in at home. On the drive, a recording. The audio from the night of the product launch 7 years ago, Gimi's voice, calling her father in a panic, asking for help. The same recording the husband had found on Gimi's old phone. The pieces are assembling. Gimi was there that night. Gimi knew exactly what happened. And Gimi has been orchestrating Jae-won's destruction ever since. Meanwhile, in a hospital across the city, a long comatose man named Baek Jae-won is showing signs of recovery. Before he can wake up and talk, a man with a scar beneath his right ear slips into his room and injects something into his foreline. Baek Jae-won goes back under. The man works for Mayor Lee. Facing a shareholder vote that will strip her of her position, Jae-won tells Eun-jang she's done fighting for the company. She's exhausted. Then her lawyer calls with something strange. The autopsy report shows the husband's actual time of death was between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m., not after 1 a.m. like the smartwatch suggested. The watch data was manipulated. Someone is framing her. Carefully, methodically, Jae-won decides she needs her psychiatrist. She sends Eun-jang to the clinic ahead of her. He calls her from inside, voice tight. Jae-won, the doctor says he's never met you. Not once. The floor drops out from under her. Every therapy session she remembers, the warm office, the doctor's calm voice guiding her through her trauma. None of it was real. She'd seen him once in a TV interview. In the depths of her loneliness and illness, her mind had built an entire imaginary relationship with him. A doctor who didn't know she existed had become her only lifeline. She had been completely alone this whole time, and she hadn't even known it. Standing outside the clinic, Jae-won says one sentence, quietly, to herself, but it carries the weight. Jae-won is admitted to the psychiatric ward. The early days are brutal. The moment any doctor tries to address her trauma, she spirals. Panic, shaking, nightmares every night. But then something shifts. In her darkest moments, Jae-won imagines the television doctor again, the one who was never real. And this time, instead of sinking into the illusion, she uses it differently. She listens to what that voice in her head has been trying to tell her all along. The truth it surfaces. Since childhood, she'd been running from her mother's abandonment. She'd buried the pain so deep that her own mind started doing it automatically, erasing memories that hurt too much to hold. And then the hardest realization of all, that night on the bridge, when she thought a stalker pushed her into the water, there was no one there. The bridge was empty. She had gone there herself, in the grip of her illness. It wasn't Gimi who pushed her in. It was her own fractured mind pulling her under. Slowly, with that truth sitting heavy in her chest, Jae-won begins to stabilize. As Jae-won makes progress in the ward, life outside doesn't pause. Gimi has been telling anyone who will listen that the little girl is her daughter. She's been drawing portraits of her, buying mountains of toys and gifts, showing up at the father-in-law's house unannounced. The father-in-law throws her out. Gimi, on her way out the door. I'm not the only one who got hurt. Eun-jang makes a call. It's no longer safe for the girl to stay in the country. Not with Gimi circling and Mayor Lee's people watching everyone connected to Jae-won. He arranges for his sister to accompany the daughter to the United States, where his adoptive parents will look after her. Before she leaves, Jae-won gets one phone call with her daughter. She holds it together on the phone. She falls apart the moment they hang up. But she picks herself back up. Because that's what this whole story is, a woman who keeps picking herself back up. Eun-jang visits regularly, bringing news from outside. Mayor Lee is making his power move, recruiting young, popular civil servants and positioning himself for a seat in the National Assembly. He has people watching Jae-won in the hospital, the insurance agent, and everyone else who might threaten his plans. Speaking of the insurance agent, he and Gimi have been meeting secretly to discuss Jae-won's situation. They're an uneasy alliance, each one watching the other. Gimi discovers the insurance agent had a past relationship with Jae-won's mother. She files that away. A detective named Officer O comes to the hospital to meet Jae-won. He tells her something the original detective buried. The husband's smartwatch time of death doesn't match the real forensic window. And the day before he died, the husband had tracked down Kim, Gimi's predator ex-boyfriend, and beaten him badly. Jae-won has no information to give Officer O, but she knows now that this case is deeper than she thought. Jae-won's condition improves steadily. She attends group sessions, shares her story, and earns enough trust from her doctors to move from the locked ward to a general room. The day she's cleared for discharge, she runs. Full sprint down the street, all the way to the building where her company used to be. Her company, the one she built. It's still standing. So is she. Eun-jang meets her outside. He calls her name 3 times before he can even speak properly. He'd been waiting for this moment for a long time. Back at her house, it's a mess, dusty, untouched, frozen in time. But on the wall of her study, a board covered in notes, photos, and connections. The husband had been building it before he died. Every person connected to their story, mapped out. Jae-won stands in front of it for a long time. I have to find out who killed him. Eun-jang, standing behind her. Then let's find out. Jae-won had written her a letter before entering the hospital, sharing what Kim had done to her, woman to woman. The wife had been living in quiet desperation, trapped in a marriage with a controlling, abusive man. The letter broke something open in her. She meets Jae-won and hands over documentation, clinical trial fraud. Kim's medical company had been falsifying research data. It's enough to bring him down. Jae-won files the report immediately. Mayor Lee, who has been in business with Kim, panics. He sends lawyers to Kim before the ink is dry, forcing him to sign over his shares. Distance himself. Protect the mayor's name. That night, Kim is released from custody. He goes straight to a bar to celebrate. He doesn't notice that his drink has been swapped. He doesn't notice the driver waiting for him outside. He stumbles out, drunk, toward the car, and the driver floors it. Jae-won is standing nearby, watching. She doesn't look away. The episode closes on a moment that signals everything has changed. Jae-won walks into Gimi's workplace, carrying a bouquet of flowers. Calm, composed, dressed like the CEO she still is. She looks Gimi in the eyes and smiles. And with that smile, she makes one thing crystal clear. The woman who checked into that hospital was broken. The woman who just walked through that door is not. Episodes 10 and 11 are the emotional core of this entire series. We watch Jae-won hit absolute rock bottom, falsely accused of murder, publicly humiliated, her mind betraying her, her daughter taken away, her company stripped from her. And then we watch her choose to get back up anyway. The hallucination reveal is one of the most quietly devastating moments in the show. She'd been so alone, for so long, that she invented a therapist just to survive. And when that illusion collapsed, instead of collapsing with it, she walked herself into a hospital. That's not weakness. That's the strongest thing she's done yet. Now she's out. She's clear-headed. She knows who her enemies are. And Gimi just got flowers delivered to her door by the woman she tried to destroy. Drop your theories below. Do you think Gimi killed the husband, or is Mayor Lee behind it? And who is really pulling the strings? Like and subscribe so you don't miss the next recap. See you there.